There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Fangirl Zone. I'm Sean, Fangirl S, and today we're talking Handmaid's Tale, Episode 5, Faithful, and joining me, as always, is Miss Jennifer. Hello again.
Hi everybody.
So, wow. This one is even more like, you know what, I'm going to end up saying that every episode to the end. It's like, holy crap, they ramped it up. But this one took a turn that I wasn't expecting.
Yes.
So let's just jump in.
This is one of those where like, okay, well, we see an active rebellion within the Handmaid regime in this one, and yes.
Yeah.
And we also see, you know, the position that wives are put in if their handmaids do not get pregnant, and what lengths they'll go to in order to make sure that it happens, because not only do bad things happen for the handmaids, I think bad things also happen for the wives if they do not have children to raise.
Yes, and we still don't have that information, and I'm wondering if they talk about that in the show at all, or is it just in the book?
It is alluded to in the book, and as we get more into the show, you'll learn a little bit more, but it's just more implied that if you don't have children, then you're obviously not one of God's chosen ones, and your position as commander or as a wife or of the elite could be taken away, because clearly you have not been blessed with the miracle.
And
Therefore you are not worthy.
Oh, that's a little painful. So we open with, first of all, seeing Offred's shoes. Random.
Those
kind of
are
off to the
so
side.
ugly. Those shoes are so ugly. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I'm choking because I'm laughing. And then, yes, they scroll
I
up.
shoes a lot, and oh my god, those are so ugly. I'm like, they burn my eyes.
Oh my
and I'm
God.
sure that's by design.
Yes.
You know? No one's going to have sexy, good-looking shoes in this world.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Like the wives, they have their pumps or whatever, but you know.
Yeah, but not stilettos. They're just regular pumps.
No, they're just, you know, they're like 1950s pumps.
Yeah.
You know?
But anyway, she's in the office playing Scrabble with the commander. We learned that she's had at least 34 games with him.
Mm-hmm.
And
so this has been going on for a while now.
And she's like, oh, he likes when I flirt, and I like when he lets me win. And it's like, really?
We cheat. And we think it's funny, and he kind of drinks, and he likes when I make jokes here and there.
And he lets her drink.
Yeah, and they're kind of like testing the waters with each other to see just how far they can go, which is kind of interesting.
And it pushes it more because he gives her, like, a fashion magazine.
Yes. He's like, so this is the kind of thing that you would have liked to have had back in the old days, and I happen to have this very forbidden copy of Cosmopolitan or whatever kind of magazine it was. And she remembers, you know, this is something I would have looked at while I was getting my hair done. It's totally frivolous, da-da-da-da-da. But now that there's like absolutely nothing available to me, something that, you know, I would just have dismissed in my former life, I soak in every single page, every single word, every single image. And I remember, you know, what real people used to look like, and then I wonder to myself, why did we do all that? Why did we put on all the makeup on? Why did we dress ourselves? And like, she's even questioning like old society at this point. That's how like kind of indoctrinated and brainwashed she is. And it talks a little bit more about it in the book, and she just wonders, she's like, wow, how far have we come? We did so many frivolous, unnecessary things, and maybe this is why what happened, because we were too busy worried about the wrong things.
Which you and I have talked about that. Like, watching anything about what's going on in politics, we get a little worried because it's like, are we watching the right things?
Yes.
Not just are we watching, period, are we keeping our eye on what is going to affect us the most? And even though you say that you watch a lot of it, you're still only seeing part of what's happening.
Yes.
And it's really scary that way.
It is very scary, and I am one of those weirdos. I turn on C-SPAN just to see, here are the Democrats having an all-night talking session on why they oppose something, and they're just going to stand up there and talk about anything, and I guess they call them talkathons or whatever, and the crazy stuff that comes out of their mouths from both sides of the aisle, I find it wildly entertaining, but at the same time, I'm like, really? This is our government?
Well, the one read green eggs and ham when he was trying to filibuster, so it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
He's like, I'm just going to keep talking until I cannot feasibly talk anymore. And it's in order to delay certain things, or, I don't know what the end is, but yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And especially with this, when, like you said, she's thinking about this, and then she goes to grab it, but she's like, it's not allowed. And the commander saying, but it is with me.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes, that's when you know he's got to be pretty high up if he has access to these forbidden materials. Because not even Serena Joy has access to these things.
Which kind of freaks me out. Like, okay, he's seeming to be into Offred, which makes me wonder, going back a couple episodes with Janine, how she
says, oh, he loves me.
Yes.
He loves me. Makes you wonder.
It's like, what did he do? Did he give you little presents? Did he talk to you nice? Yes. And
because his wife is like, that couple's significantly older. That she's with. But yeah, it makes you wonder. And one thing I will say, and it doesn't really spoil anything, and it's not even said in the TV show at all, but apparently the commander has quite the stockpile of forbidden items, and those forbidden items may end up getting him in trouble later on.
Really?
Yep. Possibly something we'll see in a forthcoming season.
Stroke your beard evilly, like.
Yes, I also have the laugh to go with it.
So we have a flashback, and we're getting like even further back because it's June and Moira looking at June's Tinder.
Yes.
And they're at a food truck. And I love it because Moira's like, what is this? What is this picture? What's with these guys in fedoras? And Luke happens to be there. Now, at this point, they don't know who this guy is. He's just a random guy. And Moira's like, you look heterosexual. And he's like,
thank you.
Yeah. It's like, okay. And she's like, oh, I need your opinion. This is the picture she has. She's like, do you have Tinder? And he's like, no. I mean, we don't know he's married, but like, he's just like, no.
But yeah, he's just it's an awkward thing for him.
Right. And so, they want an opinion on June's picture, and so he's looking through her pics and like really looking at them. And then he's like, oh, this one, because you look, what did he say? Fearless?
Yes.
And that comes back later.
Yes, it does.
But, they don't even know. And I kind of like was thinking, okay, is he going to like put his name in her phone or something? But there was nothing happening, which makes me wonder because in a flashback a little later, Luke and June are having lunch.
Yeah, they've been meeting for a while. He hasn't told his wife he's married.
And she hasn't told Moira.
She hasn't even mentioned to Moira that they're meeting up, and they're like, okay, we've been having lunch for a while, and they're both thinking about taking this to the next level, and I noticed there's children in the background playing.
I was going to say that. I had that highlighted.
Foreshadowing there.
Because they were all in red coats.
Yes. And they're like, well, what do people in the movies do? I guess they get a room at a hotel, and that's exactly what they end up doing.
Right. Like it's a joke, like, oh, we can get one of those cheap hotels. What is it? Pay by the hour. And then joking around, and Luke's like, oh, would I surprise you and pick you up for work? And she's like, no, I need 48 hours notice. She's like, there's personal grooming. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I think most women have to be like, yeah, You can't surprise me, dude. We need to take care of stuff. We need to make sure we shave our...
90% of our bodies. Right. We got to dip ourselves in the anti-Sasquatch shit, so... So we're all nice and silky smooth for surprise.
Well, especially because he's talking...
We got the good underwear on.
No granny panties. Especially the fact that he's talking about, oh, winter's late, it's cold. I mean, come on. Let's be honest right here. Most women don't shave that often in the winter. No,
I don't. Yeah. you could, my daughter and I could sit around and braid our leg hair in the winter.
Oh my God.
No joke.
Okay, I don't go that long, but yeah.
But that first time that okay, it's really hot out. And my daughter and I both look at each other and I'm like, I got dibs on the big tub. She's like, no! Because we know, we have to shave our legs in order to wear, any kind of anything that is remotely comfortable in the heat of Atlanta. So yeah, women need notice. Guys, you're out there listening. So, yeah. Don't think that we're not into you. The fact that we need notice says that we're into you because we don't want our scratchy legs rubbing on you and making cricket sounds during sex. It's just not, it's not good.
Oh my gosh. This went a whole different way than I was expecting. But anyway. But yeah, so that just progresses. And this flashback was actually over a few different flashbacks. Yeah. But they end up, because Luke's like, well, we can always go to the Hyatt. And she's like, oh, yeah, one of those really nice rooms way at the top of the view, blah, blah, blah. And they end up there. Yep. And then in the last flashback, because they had sex, and she's like, well, it's probably going to only be once, and it's fine. But I'm wondering...
You're married. It's not like I'm going to ask you to leave your wife.
But then she asks him to leave his wife, and he's like, okay. And they tell each other they love, I'm in love with you. Which,
exactly.
I'm like, is this supposed to be the same night? Or is this supposed to be over, this has happened a couple times?
I want to think that it's happened a couple of times, but I wasn't super clear on it. I know in the book, I think it's the one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what was kind of confusing me. I'm like, I wasn't 100% if it was that one time, and then he's... okay, I'll leave my wife. It's that's damn good sex.
Hotel, I will say that hotel comes back in an upcoming episode, and it's super creepy.
Oh, great. I like the Hyatt. Anyway, let's move back into Offred's present. Because she's in the kitchen just eating her breakfast, talking to Rita.
Yep.
And Nick walks in, and Rita's kind of like, don't you have somewhere to be? And I'm like, I love that she is...
Men folk belong in the kitchen.
Well, she's got, that snark level, but, not high, but just enough to be jab, jab, jab.
Yeah.
And then...
I don't think that the other staff, I don't think that Nick is well liked by the other servants. Even Offred says... Oh, the tuna looked really good knowing that he hates tuna in a past episode.
Right. Which is he's the one who mentions it to her, so.
Oh, yeah.
That was weird, but okay. But Serena wants, all of a sudden, Offred to come help her in the garden. Yep. Red flags. And of course she's like, oh my God, does she know? Are they going to send me? They're going to send me to the colonies? Are the eyes coming for me? What is she doing?
What could she possibly want? This woman has not been nice to me a day that I've been here, and she wants to talk to me. Nothing good can come of this. And I'm kind of thinking this as I'm watching it as well.
I think everybody was. And then she gives her a choice. After saying, your time with us is almost over, you don't want to be sent to the colonies, do you?
Yeah, because... And I don't know that they make it clear in the TV series, but in the book, you get 3 assignments. And if you fail in all 3 assignments, then you're deemed as an unwoman. You're clearly not fertile because sterile men do not exist. And you can get sent to the colonies. And the colonies are not really nice places. They're full of toxic waste and garbage. And anyone who goes there ends up dead within a month or 2.
Which is crazy. Why are you trying to send people away that are able to have children? Maybe you need to do something. But
And then there are other colonies that aren't so bad, and that's where they do all their agricultural work and things like that. So, I mean, it's really just chance of the draw as to what colony they send you to. Maybe the handmaids who served but just couldn't get pregnant for whatever reason, maybe they get sent to the nicer colonies. But if you messed up, you're going to the toxic waste colony.
And we don't know which one Serena Joy might want to send her to.
Yeah, no idea how long, because Serena Joy may be like super mad because this is going to get her in trouble too, and off to the toxic dump, Offred goes. So you never know.
But interestingly enough, she kind of whispers, she's like, maybe he can't. But there's another way. And it's like, what? Because
she and Fred personally tried a long time.
Yeah, she says that. And that's when she was super excited that she thought Offred was pregnant.
Yes. And then she's like, well, clearly the other girl didn't work out. And this is your second assignment and your time's running out here. I'm thinking, maybe he can't. And then she says, well, would you be opposed to, having sex with Nick to try to get this done? And she's like, really? Nick? Can we trust him?
Yeah, and that's like...
Are you testing me here, Serena? What's going on? Who do I trust in this world?
But see, with this, I thought, yes, she can trust Serena because she said Nick agreed. And
So she's already talked to him about it.
And the fact that if they get caught, Serena's in trouble for this too.
Yes. Very true.
So that's the only reason I figured she can, trust him. Or trust her. Now, Nick, she says, oh, well, he's been with us a long time, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but still, we don't know.
Did they maybe try this before with the other girl?
Ooh.
Who ended up killing herself? I always wondered that. And there are other things that I wonder, knowing things that happened down the road, before she took her life, were these circumstances that drove her over the edge to take her own life?
That's really interesting because it's like, oh, I don't know yet. I'm not there, and I feel like you're trying to hint.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to ruin it.
All right. So they go to the store. Her and of Glen. Well, they see Janine. Yes, the new of Glen. And we see Janine crazy talking about the baby. And her partner's like, you shouldn't talk about that.
Yeah, and isn't she saying, like, oh, he loves me, and this
No,
and that?
She's just talking about the baby, how the baby's sticking her tongue out, she's laughing. And I think she's smart enough, even in her craziness, not to say how he loves her and he's going to take her away. But still, everything she's saying because she's getting attached, and we can tell.
Yes, and she's going to have to move on soon to her next assignment. Because they do not get to stay with the family once they've had a baby. They get moved on to their next assignment. Indefinitely, just until they can no longer bear children, I think.
Oh, that's just heartbreaking thinking about it.
Can you imagine that? Just think of like the woman that family who has like 20 kids and counting or whatever on that reality series. Think of if she were a handmaid. Getting pregnant like 20 different times over the years and each time having to lose that baby. Because if you're really fertile like that in this, alternative society, that could very easily happen to you until you just hit menopause, and maybe you get transferred and you get to be an aunt or you get to be a Martha. I'm not quite sure.
Talk about being a broodmare. Jeez.
Yeah, but apparently, as soon as you're fit enough, as soon as the baby's weaned, and can be fed, formula or whatever.
No, I think we talked about that. There's probably not formula.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they feed them after they get rid of the mother, but
probably when they're going to like more solid baby foods, basically.
Yeah, I would think so, but I don't know.
I know, but that's just scary because Janine is just, I don't know. We know that she kind of lost it.
Yeah.
And then
she's already crazy.
And then now she's kind of going over, I feel like she's going to go over the edge pretty quick.
Yeah.
But her partner, she looks at Offred and says, "Did you see?" And we see the old Offglad. I'm like, wait, there's too many.
Yes. And who is she now? She's like off.
She's off Steven.
Off Steven, yes.
So, yes, Offred goes over to talk to her, and she's like, can you tell me who's the I? Is it that? She's like, I don't know. I'm too dangerous now because of what happened. So I'm too dangerous to be part of Mayday, which is the resistance.
Yes.
And she wants to know more, but then the new Offglen drags her away. And as they're walking home, man, this woman, I don't know about you, I wanted to slap her.
She's a pious little shit.
Well, she's like, don't ruin this for me. And she's like, I bet you had a walk up and you were in a yoga or spin class and you had a husband that liked this and that. And
well, I was on the streets, giving hand jobs for drugs.
Right.
And now I've got a place to stay and people are nice to me and I'm like, whoa.
And I'm like, okay, good. You're cleaned up and you're not prostituting, but holy shit, you really think this is better?
Exactly.
I mean,
and there will always be those kinds of people who will see this kind of thing happening as their salvation.
I mean, she wasn't crazy over the top religious. It didn't seem like I am totally bought into it, but
it's just I have a better life now.
And I can see that for her because she said she was having sex for Oxy and a Happy Meal.
Yeah. A Happy Meal. I guess because the toy. I mean, I do really enjoy the toys. I'm not sure that I would prostitute for the toys. I mean, it would depend on the toy, to be honest. But
it's got to be a hell of a toy.
I do like the Beanie Babies, so
No,
but in all seriousness, I mean, that is just really sad.
But then when you think about it, stuff like that is happening.
Oh yeah. I know it happens. My daughter and I go and we do a lot of work with homeless youth and teens, and I mean they've run away from home for whatever reason, abuse. They were addicted to drugs. They were trans or gay and their families didn't accept them. I mean, you just hear these heartbreaking stories and then, you ask, well, how are you surviving? And, there are some kids out there, doing
what they have
awful
to do.
Things for a Happy Meal.
Yeah. It's just really sad. And then we're back in Offred's reality where, okay, you have this woman who thinks it's okay, and then you have what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. Serena, goes up to get Offred from her room. And again, she was in the closet. Yep. She jumps up, though, when she hears her, closes the door, and she's like, are you ready? And I don't know if she sent Rita out somewhere. I'm guessing that's what happened.
I think so. I think everyone's kind of been sent or is otherwise occupied so that no one really
is around
there to bear witness of this.
Because Serena takes her to the garage loft, and she's like, okay, we're here to have sex with Nick. And it's not we exactly, because Nick's like, or do we pray? And she's like, no, we don't have time. And so you have this really awkwardness.
She's standing there, off to the side, like, well, hurry up, get it on.
Right. Like, she's kind of not looking, but she kind of looks. And I don't know if there's, just that sliver of jealousy.
I think a little bit,
because it wasn't done like the ceremony. I mean, he was, on top of her.
Well, this is a little bit of a spoiler. Not really that much, but skip ahead about 20 seconds if you don't want to hear this. The wives are not allowed to have sex with their husbands if they cannot have children.
Like at all?
At all.
What the hell? I mean, I would assume during
forbidden.
During ceremony time, okay, but
nope. If you can't have kids, the only way that sex is possible is if you're trying to make a kid. And if you've tried and you can't, and you can't get pregnant, well then it's off limits.
Wow.
Yep.
But wow. Okay. I'm not even going to go into this whole medical thing that we'll skip what I was going to say. But anyway, you had very awkward sex happen very quick. So hey, was Nick preparing? He's like, okay, let me dirty thoughts, so I can get there. Yeah. And then you had that moment where they connected because Offred and Nick make eye contact, and
she's like, don't let her see.
Right.
No,
but she grabs his arm, and I'm like, ooh.
Yes.
Because as strange as this is, because it's so kind of sterile and the ceremony has to be this way, it's like, okay, they never have an orgasm.
Yeah, and they don't even, like, touch other people. So, like, there's, like, no... Like, they're so dehumanized because they're not allowed to touch people. You know, you're only, you know, having sex through the ceremony, which is not intimate whatsoever. And finally, you know, she's kind of free to kind of, you know, she can touch him if she wants. But, you know, she's still scared to. So,
I mean, obviously it was a lot more intimate, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, even though Serena's standing right there. Another thing that is from the book that they don't really say in the TV series, so it's not really much of a spoiler. If you are an unmarried male, you have not been assigned a wife, you're not allowed to have sex either. You're not even allowed to masturbate.
Wow.
It is forbidden. So for Nick to get to have sex and for it to be over quite quickly, I can see why. And it goes back to when you said, you know, she showed, like, one of them, like, stops to, like, fix their shoe, and, you know, she notices that they're looking at her, and she's like, oh, I hope they are looking at me, and, you know, I hope that they go back to their rooms and think about me. Well, the reason is she knows they can't even touch themselves and masturbate.
Wow. How are they monitoring that?
I don't know. I don't think they have cameras or anything. It's just...
Well, if they do, they're boned right now.
Yeah, and you got all these, like, okay, think of, like, all the SWAT team guys with guns everywhere. Okay, we all know what happened in Roman and Greek times when it was, like, large groups of men together. I mean, sex still happens, okay, people? It still happens. It's a human urge. They're going to find a way, you know? But
yes, but you're a gender traitor then.
Yeah, of course. So you super cannot get caught.
Ugh. I love it. Okay, it's done. They go back, and Serena's like, go lay down. It's like, okay. But then...
And I wondered, I'm like, okay, why would they, you know, forbid masturbation? Is it because in the Bible it says spilling your seed on the ground is considered a sin?
I think so.
That's what I kind of got.
But that's why I wasn't going to go here, but you talked about it. But medically, you kind of have to keep the supply fresh in order to have good swimmers.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's not going to work. So that's why I thought it was a little weird. It's like, shouldn't you at least be having sex with your wife? I don't know, like 2 weeks out of the month?
You would think.
Weirdness. But
nothing makes sense about this show. And in the book, there are much older men and women who should probably not be having kids to begin with.
Okay.
And they're kind of like the age that parents would be with grown kids in college.
Now, I know that was kind of a complaint that people were talking about, how they made them, a lot of them, at least our main commanders, younger. Mm-hmm. But we see that's different because the next scene that we get is Stephen playing with the German Shepherd, which, kudos, I love German Shepherds.
Yeah, I do too. Those are great.
And her mistress comes out, and you can tell she's older.
Yes.
She seems to be a lot older than Serena
and
Joy.
She's like, we don't have to do the ceremony tonight. I can just, say I have a headache. And she's like, well, you can't have a headache every month.
Right. And this is what was sad because she kind of not exactly touches her shoulder, but she kind of hovered there. So it's like, that the mistress understands that what happened to her was horrible. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that they're like, okay, but we're putting you back in the mix.
Right. And, I mean, sex for her could be incredibly painful now with whatever mutilation they did to her.
And that was just heartbreaking because you can just see how she lost a piece of herself. And granted, we find out later the piece. Yep. But without that saying, that just sounds horrible, me saying it that way. But she just, had a piece of herself carved out knowing that this other woman died because of her. Mm-hmm. And that she had to watch it. And then she was carved up and sent back into the mix. And I think that the mistress she's with now is understanding enough and caring enough. Yes. Yeah. That you want her to be able to stay there somehow. But at the same time, if she stays there, what happens?
Right, because they only have a limited time, and
And then we're back redoing the ceremony since, our commander couldn't exactly get things done last time. And Serena is looking away because, wouldn't you, if you were in that, would you want to look at this happening?
Serena is done with the ceremony at this point. She is done. She's like, okay, just make it stop. Just, get it done.
But we have the commander, turning his head, because he's not supposed to look at her, and he's, dead on looking at her.
Her leg.
Yeah, feeling her leg, and, he is, hitting it hard. I'm just saying. And, she's trying to shake her head no. Yeah, and I was like, oh, my gosh, because she kind of was writhing a little bit, but freaking out, too, because she's like, oh, my God, is she watching this? Can she see this? Because then later she goes down to the office, and she's, reprimanding him, don't do that again. She could have me sent to the colonies or worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's yep. And then he's all calm, oh, it's so impersonal. Tell him it, you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this the one where he asks her to kiss him?
No.
Okay.
No, but he's just it's so impersonal. And he's fine, I won't do it again, but you seem to enjoy it. It's oh, damn. This is not good.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
And he's you want a drink? She's like, no! Quit trying to have me killed, basically, because you're getting off on this.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where things got interesting again, because he's trying to give her another magazine. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, back then. She's like, we had choices. He's like, now you have respect. Really? Because I don't feel really respected.
Yeah.
And
he goes on that whole thing about,
biological destinies.
Degrade themselves, and, just to get a man to notice them, and they didn't feel special, blah, 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 and now you're revered. Look at your status now. And I'm like, really?
Right, because, he's about the biological destinies, like I said, which I kind of yelled over you. I thought that's where you're going.
Yes.
And she's like, what? And he goes, children, what else is there to live for? And she's like, love? And he's like, that's not real. Yeah. And he brings up of Glenn. We let her live. We're not without compassion. We helped her because it was such a small problem. And I'm like, all right, now we know. Yes, female genital mutilation. And it's it's a small problem.
It's a small problem. Oh my, I'm like, I can't.
And then as she's leaving, he's like, every love story is a tragedy if you wait long enough. And she's just getting pissed, I can't believe you're saying this. You may not have actually been in love, but I was.
Yeah.
And then he kind of whispers. I feel like he kind of whispered this part. We just wanted to make the world a better place. And she stopped.
And better doesn't mean that things get better for everyone. They get better for some and worse for others.
That about killed me.
Yep, but it's true. It is so very true. And if you look at today's society and the things that are happening politically and how they want to change our country, things are going to get better for some people and worse for others. Like with this health care bill that I think President Trump even called mean, is kicking 20 million people off of health insurance if it gets passed. So, that the top 400 wealthiest people in the country can get a tax break, blah, blah, blah. So things are going to get better for some people, but they're going to get worse for another group. And the parallels to this show and the things that are happening now, they could not have planned it. It was just timing. Stuff happened, and it's working.
Yes. And I just think it's just a weird statement that just sounds so callous.
But to me, it's pretty profound because you're like, you go back to every society where there was some kind of revolution, and it's true. Those words are very, very true. So, yeah.
And it's funny, we were talking about this statement at work, and my friend said her one professor, it was economics professor. He's like, there's always somebody trying to make it better, but when they say it's going to be better, you have to ask them, better for whom?
Yep.
Because
for whom?
Yes. It's just always something you should have in your head. And so remember, when we question everything and everyone, keep this in the back of your head.
Make America great again. Okay, for whom? That's what I wonder.
Interesting. Well, our poor girl was so upset she ends up throwing up in the kitchen sink.
Yes.
And Nick's there. Are you sick? That's like, what the hell, Nick?
And to me, this is like, could she be pregnant?
I know. That's what I was thinking.
At the same time, she's pretty disgusted, so it could go either way.
Well, she asks Nick then, at that point, are you an I? And he doesn't answer. And then he's like, go to bed. She's like, don't tell me what to do. And he's like, yes, I'm an I. Now go to bed before I report you. And she just looked like when she was walking out of the room, like she wanted to flip him off.
Oh, yeah. She wanted to kick him or something. Just anything. Because at this point, she's like, I got so many people telling me what to do. You do not get to tell me what to do.
Right. I feel like he wants to be there and be good because he said stuff to her like, I should have drove off with you. I'm really sorry. And then, but this time he's like, I couldn't say no when she asked me. And I'm like, I thought you were a good guy.
Yeah. I mean, it does turn out that he is a better guy than we think, but not in the ways you think.
Okay. All right. God, with these hints and breadcrumbs, you're killing me. All right, let's go to the outdoor market, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, here's my question, because you notice this happen because it plays a part. You keep seeing wives being dropped off at this building.
Yep.
What the hell is this building? Because it's not a store.
They don't really mention it in the book. I'm assuming it's kind of like a club of some kind, like a social club.
Oh, okay.
It's the only thing I can think of. Maybe they can't have book club anymore. They got to have something to do. I mean, I don't know. And you will find out that men have their own clubs too later on. So I can only assume that it is some kind of women's club.
Okay. I was just wondering because you just seem going, and you know they don't go to the store because they send the handmaids or the Marthas. That's why I'm like, what is happening?
They're like they can visit another wife. They can go to this building where they're all there. They can accompany their husbands, to certain events and things like that. But they're really kind of kept prisoners in the house because their sole purpose is to be there to raise children. And if you don't have any children, you're useless.
Oh, geez, that just makes it sound horrible for them.
Yeah. So I told you, you're gonna start feeling a little bad for Serena.
Well, let's not talk about her yet because I don't feel bad for her yet. Well, we have Offred who goes to talk to Stephen because she gets somebody to distract her partner, and I'm like,
they're at the market, right?
Yeah, it's the outdoor market.
Yes,
and
open air.
Yes, Stephen says, "My name is Emily," and then
I get her name.
Then she goes, "What's yours?" And she looks and she decides to jump into one of these cars that the driver's gotten out of to help one of the wives.
Yep.
And she's driving, but it's just in a circle. I'm like, why is she only driving in a circle?
I think she's just surprised that she got behind the wheel and she's like looking for, trying to like get her bearings and figure out a way out. But you see all of the handmaids, they stop and they're kind of looking like, oh my gosh, what is she doing? Oh my God, look at her. And June's like, well, duh, she's driving.
Right.
And she kind of like, you see Emily look at June, and June kind of gives her that head nod and that look, and she keeps going, and she plows over a couple of guys.
Yeah, that was pretty messed up. But I'm like, well, you know what? How many have they killed at this point? I mean, Is it right? Because I know that sounded very callous coming out of my mouth just now. But, I mean, I can understand at this point she, in my opinion, of course, has given up because of everything. And I think she wants them to shoot her, so she's just done with this. So she will take as many out.
Assisted suicide,
Take out as many as she can.
We don't think to kill her. We do not see them kill her.
No, they just take her away.
Yep.
Oh, God, this is killing me with that.
Yep. But where do they take her?
Well, Offred is going home with her partner. And her partner's like, we can get through this. We can make it together. It's like, bitch, no.
No, and it's the first time, and kind of the women, like, you see them have hope, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's like doing something so crazy and reckless, and, you see that kind of light in their eyes, and in the book it talks about when the girls first get to the Red Center, they still have that hope, that light in their eyes, and then after a few weeks, after they've been there for a while, they're just dead. You can look in their eyes, the light is no longer there, it's just dead.
Well, they've been tased.
Yeah, and then, that's kind of, you're not supposed to, look or, show emotion or anything, and then you see Emily making the rounds in the car, and you see that spark in all of their eyes that you just never ever see with the Handmaids, and I'm like, they just got hope in that moment, and that's important.
This is when June says she looked fearless.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, it came back.
It ties back to her picture on Tinder where Luke says, I like this one because you look fearless.
Oh, it was so sweet and strange, and I wanted to cry because I thought they were going to kill her right there. I don't know.
I thought they would too, but they don't.
So that was kind of where we left with that, because it's like, all right, what's happening to her? Because we didn't find out right away last time, so I'm like, great, it's going to be a couple episodes before I know anything. But I don't want a breadcrumb here. We go back, and Serena's painting, and she asks Alfred to come in, and she's like, oh, I know something happened, are you okay? And then she's like, well, not everybody can handle. Some people can't handle what the responsibilities of their permission, and we do what needs to be done. Yes. And you're a smart girl. So
yes.
Here,
don't be doing anything reckless or dumb like that.
See, actually, what I was going to ask you, because her little speech, because that was only like a sentence and a half of what she said, was she actually talking about both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, that, because I don't know about Serena Joy, and you keep saying it's coming, but I felt like she had to be talking about each of them.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you keep saying that wives are assigned.
Yeah, if you were married before everything happened and your husband happened to be a commander, you got to stay married.
Okay.
If you were fertile, you were taken away from your husbands, no questions asked. You were assigned, your husbands were assigned to other duties, or you tried to run for Canada, or you became a part of the resistance and you're fighting the war as a rebel. If you were an older lady, you were assigned to be an Aunt or a Martha. But the guys that weren't married, they get assigned to be drivers and, militiamen or whatever. And yeah, there are plenty of wives that get assigned to their husbands and they have no other purpose other than you're going to raise the children that are brought in this house.
Ugh, it's so weird.
Yeah, and then I know I mentioned it before. If you are a man, and you've served Gilead well, you're going to, but you may not be a very high rank. You're going to get assigned a wife, and they call them Akana wives because they do the cooking and the cleaning. There are no Marthas, and some of them are fertile and can have their own children. They figure out. But a lot of them, if they can't have their own children, get kind of plucked away and sent to the Red Center. So, it's rare that someone with an Akana wife gets a handmaiden assigned to them.
Okay.
But some of them do, but they get the lesser quality ones. Like Janine is even considered a higher quality handmaid. With all her crazy and her one-eyedness, there are still others who are far more mutilated than she, and those are the ones that kind of get assigned to the lower-ranking men and their Akana wives.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, we have Alfred, who I think at this point is becoming June again.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's sneaking out of the house when we see there's guards on the premises.
Yes.
So this kind of interesting, in my opinion.
It would not surprise me if there were snipers on the roof.
Oh, well, then she's really screwed. But
Yeah, I don't think there are, but it wouldn't surprise me.
she sneaks to the garage, and her and Nick don't speak, but she starts undressing him after she takes her hair down, which
Yes,
apparently
of
is a
course.
big thing.
Yes, because she always has to keep it up.
Ugh, I would die right there, but whatever.
Yeah.
And she starts undressing him and moving towards the bed, and they don't speak, and then they start kissing and touching, and then they're having sex, and it's everything that the ceremony's not.
Yes.
Because there's
It is
intimacy.
Yes, it is true intimate sex of worlds past. Yes.
And
it's what kind of starts the affair she is having with Nick.
And I'm like right here watching this going, okay, where we were so skeeved out with the ceremony sex, it's like, this is totally different. And it's like, I feel like she's taking her power back.
It's an act of rebellion. It's an act of, yeah, exactly, taking her power back. That, yes, I have the power of creation with my body, but I want to be able to choose when and how I have sex and with him.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, but this is the first time I feel like I was cheating on Luke, is when she was with Nick. And I think they might have said it in the book, but maybe not the TV
No, they did
series.
say it, but it was the first time when Serena was with them. But that was just creepy because she's looking and not looking at them. It's like,
Yeah, but you could always tell that they kind of liked each other based on the looks that they have been giving leading up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it didn't really surprise me that this affair has kind of started, this secret affair. And she's like, well, the commander has secrets because he's got this trove of forbidden, books and magazines and things like that from the past. I can have secrets too.
And this could get them both killed.
Oh, yeah, and at this point, I don't think either of them care. That's how, much of a dumpster fire this world has become, that for a little bit of intimacy and a little bit of power, they're willing to risk it.
Well, that's how we ended this episode. So, sex that didn't make you want to tear your skin off. So,
finally! A non-awkward sex scene.
So, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens because, like I said, she seems to be coming June again.
Mm-hmm.
But with the commander's interest in her, that doesn't seem to be strictly Handmaid interest. Yeah, what's going to happen?
Do you happen to know what's the name of the next episode?
I can tell you in 1 second. The next episode is A Woman's Place.
Okay, so little teaser. This is where you get Serena's story.
Oh, okay.
And it is not in the book. This is something that they expanded for the TV series only.
Well, this was episode 5, so we're halfway through since there's 10 episodes. All right, guys, we've talked about this. We want to know what you think about this.
Absolutely.
fangirlzonepodcast@gmail.com. Tweet us. FGZ podcast. I keep screwing that up. Jennifer is Jennifer, the number 9, INE, because she's over at Hollow 9, and that's how we spell it there. Don't forget when you're tweeting the show, #maids. We talked about that last episode. MAIDEZ. That is the official Twitter handle for Handmaid's Tale on Hulu.
Hashtag, yeah.
And they seem to be doing giveaways, so since I don't have anything for Handmaids to give away, definitely follow them. Do that. I have stuff to give away, though, so you can always find the weird random word that I've said 10,000 times in the episode and send that to me in the email, and I'll send you something out of my prize packs. But, awesome, guys. I so hope you guys are watching this and you're feeling the same feelings I am.
Yes. See, now, in this world, you would be one of those people like the commander who has a hoard of things from the old world.
I would. You'd be like, good luck finding it all.
You'd be like, I am dying for these Funko Pop bobbleheads. I don't care. I'm keeping them.
Be like Snoopy's. Snoopy, Doctor Who. I'd be like, this is mine.
You may not take my TARDIS.
You can take it from my cold dead hands. But anyway, all right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 5. I'm Sean Fangirl S.
And I'm Jennifer.
And until next time.